golden halls of Varyn Prime shimmered like liquid sunlight, every column carved with spiraling patterns that seemed to move when the light struck them. Beneath the vaulted ceiling, the air hummed faintly with the vibration of unseen energy. Even before I saw her, I could feel her presence. The subtle change in gravity, the almost imperceptible tightening in the air that came when she entered the room. The courtiers bowed as one, heads lowered, their jeweled armor clinking softly like wind chimes. I had fought in battles that turned mountains to glass, but never had I felt something that made the world itself seem to hold its breath. "She's the most magnificent princess I've ever seen," I murmured to the officer beside me, not realizing the words had left my mouth. He didn't answer. He couldn't. The moment she appeared, words became irrelevant. She descended the marble stairs with a poise that felt almost inhuman. Her skin shimmered in shades of deep azure, light rippling across her like water over stone. Silver markings curved along her arms and throat, glyphs of lineage or power, or perhaps both. Her hair was pale as frozen starlight, woven with threads of crystal that caught the glow of the chandeliers overhead. Every movement she made was deliberate, as if the air itself deferred to her. I'd expected her to be cold, a creature of regal indifference like the other nobles of her kind, but she was alive. There was warmth in the way her eyes scanned the crowd, the faintest curve of amusement at the corners of her lips, the whisper of curiosity beneath all that practiced grace. She was no statue carved of perfection. She was motion, she was music, she was danger. Then she turned toward me. It was like the universe folded inward for a heartbeat. Her gaze, a bright and impossible violet, locked onto mine and everything else. The guards, the courtiers, the low hum of the palace's power conduits, fell away. For that single instant, she wasn't a princess, and I wasn't a soldier from a lesser world. We were two beings caught in a gravity neither of us understood. Her smile was faint but deliberate. "You're staring," she said. I tried to find my voice. "Forgive me. I was trying to understand if you're real." That earned a low, musical laugh. "And if I'm not? Then I'll blame the air here," I said, forcing a smile. "It's too rich for humans." Her eyes lingered on me for a moment longer, then softened. "You're not like the others," she said, turning slightly so the gold light caught her cheek. "They either flinch or flatter. You look like you've already made peace with dying." I hesitated. Maybe I have. Something unreadable flickered across her expression. She took a step closer. "You fought at Meridian's Gate," she said. Not a question, but a statement. I nodded. "I've read the reports. You refused to withdraw when the lines broke." "I didn't have anywhere to run," I said quietly. Her gaze didn't waver. "And now I'm here." The corners of her lips curved again, though there was sadness in it this time. "And you think this is safer?" Before I could answer, the court herald stepped forward, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Commander Eliar Thane of the Terran Vanguard," he announced. "Envoy of the Human Federation." A ripple of disapproval spread through the assembled nobles. I felt the weight of their stares, cold, measured, predatory. To them, humanity was a curiosity, not an ally. An upstart civilization clawing for recognition in a galaxy already long claimed. Yet the Princess Aurelia, as I would later learn, did not look away. "Rise, Commander," she said, her voice like glass touched by light. "You've traveled far to reach Varyn Prime. What is it you seek here?" I stood slowly, every movement deliberate, my eyes still locked on hers. "Peace," I said, "and perhaps a reason to believe in it." The court whispered again, voices rippling like wind through leaves. The Empress's advisors exchanged glances. To speak so plainly in their hall was dangerous, but I'd never been good at politics. "Peace," she repeated, tasting the word. "That's a fragile thing to bring to a place like this." "It's all we have left," I said. Her expression shifted, barely, but enough for me to see the shadow of something behind her gaze. "Then you're either brave or foolish." "Both," I admitted, usually at the same time. That drew another small laugh, and this time it was genuine. I see why my mother invited you, she said. You're either going to save your people or offend every ruler in this room. Hopefully in that order, I said. For a moment, she said nothing. The golden light framed her in radiance, and her violet eyes softened with something dangerously close to admiration. I like you, human, she said quietly. But careful, this court eats charm for breakfast. I'll keep my armor on then. That made her smile, a true one this time. Good, she said. You'll need it. The rest of the audience passed in a blur. The Empress herself, regal and silent, presided from her high throne, her gaze unreadable. Treaties were discussed, alliances measured, words sharpened like weapons. But I barely heard them. Every time Aurelia spoke, every time her laugh drifted through the hall, my focus drifted with it. When the ceremony ended, and the nobles dispersed into clusters of golden robes and hushed voices, she approached me again. You speak boldly, she said. I've been told that's a flaw. Not here, she said, her tone thoughtful. Here it's a weapon, and you've already drawn it. Her eyes caught mine again, soft, unguarded for just a second. Tomorrow, she said, there's to be a celebration for the new alliance. Meet me at the balcony above the Hall of Stars. I'd like to understand you better. I hesitated. That sounds like an order. It's not, she said, and the faintest trace of a smile touched her lips again. It's an invitation. Then she turned and walked away, the glow of her armor fading with each step. I watched her go, knowing somehow that the next time she turned toward me, nothing in my life or hers would ever be the same. The Hall of Stars was nothing like the throne room, where the latter burned with gold and opulence. This place was all light and silence, as if built to hold a conversation with the cosmos. The ceiling arched into translucent crystal, opening directly into the sky. Beyond it, the stars pulsed faintly through the planet's atmosphere. So close they felt alive, like watchers leaning in to listen. I'd never seen anything so beautiful, and for once, it wasn't the architecture that stole my breath. Aurelia was already there, standing at the edge of the balcony. The starlight caught her silver hair, turning it pale blue where it mingled with the reflection of her skin. Her armor was gone, replaced by soft silver fabric that flowed with her movement like water. She looked less like a princess now, and more like the person beneath the title, a woman caught between worlds. When she turned toward me, her smile was quiet but certain, as though she'd known I'd come long before I decided to. You came, she said. You invited me? I answered, trying not to sound as nervous as I felt. I wasn't sure humans could refuse royalty. Her eyes gleamed faintly. And yet you sound as though you would have tried. Depends on the princess. She laughed then, low and rich, like a note struck in the heart of something ancient. You keep saying things that would get you executed in this palace. And yet you're still talking to me, I said. Maybe I find danger entertaining. Her smile faltered slightly, a shadow crossing her features. Or maybe I'm just tired of people who agree with me. I stepped beside her, leaning on the railing. Below us, the city of Varyn sprawled in perfect geometry, circles within circles of glowing towers and reflective waterways, all humming with quiet life. It's beautiful, I said. She nodded, though her expression didn't soften. It's a cage, she murmured. Every light you see was placed there by decree. Even the stars above us, filtered through shields and lenses to ensure they shine at the approved brilliance. I looked at her, surprised by the bitterness in her tone. Doesn't sound like the paradise your people describe. It isn't, she said. It's an empire pretending it never breaks. And I'm the symbol of that illusion. Her hands tightened around the railing, faint energy flickering beneath her skin. They call me radiant because they can't admit they've dimmed. I hesitated, then said softly, And what do you call yourself? She turned to face me, her eyes reflecting starlight. I don't know anymore. The words hung there, fragile and raw. I hadn't expected honesty. Not here, not from her. She was surrounded by people who bowed, who worshipped, who feared. But no one, it seemed, listened. I took a slow breath. Where I come from, we have a saying, I said. Light doesn't know how bright it is until darkness challenges it. She studied me for a long moment, and then smiled faintly. You think yourself the darkness? I think I'm just someone who notices. She laughed softly, shaking her head. You humans, always turning simplicity into poetry. That's because it's all we've got, I said. You have power. We have words. Words can be power, she said. Yours seem to be. Her gaze lingered on me, longer than it should have. The air between us felt different now, charged with a quiet current that had nothing to do with the shimmering energy of her world. Tell me, she said softly, why does your kind seek peace now? You could have fought longer. You almost did. Because we learned something your people already know, I said. That endless victory is just another kind of extinction. Her expression softened. You think we know that? I think you do, I said. Maybe that's why you wanted to meet me. For a moment, she didn't answer. Then, very slowly, she said, You're not what I expected. Neither are you. A faint smile tugged at her lips. Good. I hate being predictable. The stars shifted above us as Varyn's smaller moon rose over the horizon, its light cutting through the crystalline ceiling like a blade of ice. The faint hum of the palace's shields resonated in the air, and I realized it wasn't silence we were standing in. It was a held breath, the kind the universe takes before something changes forever. Eliar, she said suddenly, my name soft on her tongue. Do you believe that love can exist between different worlds? The question startled me, not because of its boldness, but because of the emotion behind it. I think love exists wherever someone dares to see past what they're told to fear, I said quietly. Her eyes met mine, and for a heartbeat, the distance between us vanished. The air shimmered faintly. I could feel the faint pulse of her energy, the warmth radiating from her skin even across the small space that separated us. Careful, she whispered. You don't know what it means to love one of my kind. Then tell me. Her breath hitched slightly. It means binding your soul to something older than stars. It means becoming part of our light and losing what makes you human. I smiled faintly. You say that like it's a warning. It is, she said, her voice trembling now. Because I would never forgive myself if I took that from you. I stepped closer, close enough to see the fine patterns etched across her skin. Lines like constellations, glowing faintly as if reacting to my proximity. Maybe you wouldn't be taking something, I said softly. Maybe you'd be sharing it. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came. The glow beneath her skin brightened until it felt like we were standing inside a sunrise. Then the sound of approaching footsteps shattered the moment. She turned sharply, her composure snapping back into place like armor. A group of attendants entered the hall, their movements precise and formal. The tallest of them, a silver-robed figure with featureless gray skin, bowed low. Princess Aurelia, he said, the Empress summons you. The human envoy's presence has raised concerns. Her voice was cool now, though her eyes betrayed something else entirely. Tell the Empress I will attend shortly. The attendants withdrew, their footsteps echoing into silence. She turned back to me, her expression unreadable. You should go. They will not be kind if they find you here. I'll take my chances, I said. She hesitated, then stepped closer, her hand brushing mine for the briefest moment. You really don't know what you've started, she whispered. Tomorrow, everything changes. And before I could speak, she was gone, disappearing into the light at the far end of the hall, leaving only the faint scent of ozone and the lingering warmth of her touch. I stood there alone beneath the stars, the realization sinking in that she hadn't been warning me. She'd been warning herself. The next morning broke with the cold precision of ceremony. Every bell in the palace chimed in sequence, their notes rippling through the golden city below like an ancient song reminding its people that order ruled above all. From my chamber window, I could see the procession unfolding. Lines of armored guards marching across the sky bridges, banners unfurling in coordinated bursts of light. The Empress herself would be appearing today. The ceremony wasn't for me, It was for control, for reassurance that nothing on Varyn Prime had changed. But everything had. I couldn't stop replaying the moment from the night before. Her hand brushing mine, the tremor in her voice, the soft light pulsing through her skin. I hadn't slept. My mind looped through questions I couldn't answer. What had she meant by everything changes? Was it a warning, a promise? Or both? A soft chime interrupted my thoughts. The door to my quarters slid open, revealing one of the palace attendants. An older figure with silver skin and deep-set eyes that glowed faintly with blue light. "Commander Thane," he said, "the Empress will receive you after the Ascension rite." "Will the princess be there?" I asked. The attendant hesitated. "Her Highness's attendance is not assured," which in court speak meant she wasn't welcome. Something had happened. I felt my stomach knot, but I only nodded. "Then I'll wait." The ceremony was held in the Hall of Radiance. A circular chamber opened to the sky, its walls lined with colossal statues of the Empire's founders. Every surface gleamed, every movement echoed. Thousands of courtiers filled the gallery seats above. Their voices hushed as I was escorted to a small platform near the dais. The Empress sat upon a throne carved from a single shard of crystal so clear it seemed invisible, her figure draped in robes of liquid gold. She was what eternity might look like if it learned patience, terrifyingly serene. When she spoke, the air itself seemed to bow. "Human commander," she said, "your people have come seeking peace, but you bring disruption instead." I dropped to one knee. "If I've offended the court, it wasn't my intent, your majesty." Her gaze pierced me. "Intent is irrelevant when consequence remains." "I understand." "Do you?" Her voice carried a faint, cold amusement. "You've caught the attention of my daughter." There it was. The weight beneath her words could have crushed stone. "She speaks freely," I said carefully. "I only listened." "Few are granted that privilege," the Empress replied, "and fewer still survive it." A murmur rippled through the assembled nobles. I could feel their eyes on me, their contempt sharp enough to draw blood. The Empress stood, and the hall dimmed automatically as if the light feared to outshine her. "You will return to your fleet after this audience," she declared. "The alliance will proceed as planned, and my daughter's curiosities will end." The words hit harder than I expected. "Curiosities?" I asked before I could stop myself. "She's not curious, she's alive." The silence that followed was suffocating. Every noble froze. The Empress's golden eyes narrowed, and for the first time, I realized how thin the line was between awe and annihilation. "You presume much, human," she said softly. "Remember your place." "I'm trying to," I said, meeting her gaze. "But every time your daughter speaks, she reminds me that I still have one." Gasps rippled through the crowd. I'd overstepped badly. The Empress's hand rose, energy flickering between her fingers. But before she could strike, a voice cut through the hall. "Enough!" Every head turned. Aurelia stood in the archway behind the dais, flanked by two guards who looked as startled as everyone else. She'd come uninvited, unannounced, and she was radiant. Her armor shimmered faintly in hues of blue and silver, her crown absent, her expression fierce. "Mother," she said, stepping forward. "He speaks truth. You taught me to see value where others see threat, to recognize light in forms unfamiliar." The Empress's gaze hardened. "You mistake admiration for rebellion." "Do I?" Aurelia's tone didn't waver. "Or have you simply forgotten what it feels like to choose for yourself?" A hush fell so complete that I could hear my own heartbeat. The Empress's hand trembled, just slightly. "You endanger everything with your defiance." "Then maybe everything needs to change," Aurelia said. And just like that, the balance shattered. The nobles erupted in uproar, their voices clashing like steel. The Empress stood, her power flaring, her command cutting through the noise. "Guards, remove the princess and the human." Energy surged through the room as soldiers advanced. Aurelia moved before they reached me, summoning a shield of shimmering light that rippled outward, deflecting the first barrage. "Go!" she shouted to me. "Not without you." She turned, her eyes fierce and beautiful in the same breath. Eliar, don't make this harder. But she didn't understand. I'd made my choice the moment she turned toward me in the throne room. I raised my arm and grabbed one of the fallen guard's weapons, the strange energy rifle humming to life in my grip. Then we make it hard for them, not each other. She looked at me for a single, stunned second, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between us. Recognition, trust, and the realization that neither of us could turn back. Together we moved, her light and my defiance forming an unlikely rhythm. She shattered the golden sigils that lined the pillars, disrupting the palace's power conduits. I fired at the ceiling's crystal supports, sending shards raining down in dazzling arcs. The hall became chaos, guards shouting, nobles fleeing, light and dust colliding in storms of color. We broke through the outer gates, emerging into the high courtyard overlooking the city. The air was thick with alarm sirens, drones rising from their perches like a swarm of metal insects. Aurelia's energy shield flickered, dimming with every hit. "How long can you hold it?" I shouted. "Not long enough," she said through gritted teeth. "Then we find cover." We ducked beneath a marble archway as another blast struck her barrier. I turned to her, breathless. "Now what?" She looked out toward the city, the towers burning faintly with the reflection of her power. "Now," she said, "we make the first honest choice this empire has seen in centuries." Her gaze flicked back to me, softer now, threaded with fear she no longer hid. "Eliar, if we fail, they'll erase you. Your name, your world, everything. Then remember it for me," I said. Her lips trembled into something between a smile and a sob. "You're impossible. Maybe that's what you liked first." For a heartbeat, the chaos around us vanished. The world shrank to the space between us, the faint blue glow of her skin against the dull gold of my armor, the sound of her breathing just beneath the hum of distant alarms. Then the wall behind us exploded. The blast threw us both forward. I hit the ground hard, my vision spinning. Aurelia staggered to her feet, blood, silver and luminous, trailing down her arm. A shadow loomed through the smoke. The Empress's enforcer, clad in black armor streaked with molten light. His weapon hummed as he raised it toward me. Aurelia didn't hesitate. She stepped between us, her energy surging in one last brilliant flare. The blast struck her squarely, light and heat blooming in an instant so bright it burned the sky white. When the world came back into focus, she was on her knees, the glow fading from her hands. I caught her before she fell, her head resting against my chest. "Aurelia," I whispered. Her eyes fluttered open, weak but still bright. "I told you, love between worlds was dangerous." "Then we're both guilty," I said. Her hand brushed my cheek, trembling. "Don't let them end this." The last thing I saw before the guards surrounded us was her smile. Faint, defiant, and heartbreakingly human. When I woke, the world was gold and pain. The air hummed with static, and my skin burned where the restraints met flesh. My wrists were locked in radiant cuffs, humming softly with contained plasma. The chamber around me was round and vast, its walls alive with energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. I was somewhere deep within the palace, no, beneath it, the place where the empire buried the things it didn't want the stars to see. A figure stood in the doorway. She was cloaked in shadow, her armor darker than the void outside, her presence unmistakable. "The Empress. You survived too stubbornly," she said. I struggled to my feet, the cuffs sparking. "You tried to kill me. I'm allowed to be difficult." Her gaze didn't waver. "If I wanted you dead, human, you would be ash. Then why am I here?" She stepped closer, the faint light catching the edges of her robes. "Because my daughter is dying." The words hit harder than any blow. "What?" "The weapon that struck her was designed to unbind energy," the Empress said. "It's unraveling her from within. She'll be gone before the next rotation unless I intervene." "Then help her." Her eyes flashed with something that wasn't anger, but grief buried too deep to express. "To heal her, I must purge what's foreign to her system. That includes you." I stared at her, heart pounding. You mean me? She bound herself to you, Commander, the Empress said. A link formed when she shielded you in the hall. It runs deeper than either of you understands. To sever it means saving her life. But it will end yours. The air thickened between us. I searched her face for a sign of compassion. But all I found was the weariness of someone who'd ruled too long and loved too little. She wouldn't want that, I said. She doesn't have a choice, the Empress replied. And neither do you. She turned toward the door, gesturing to the guards. Prepare the transference chamber. They moved instantly, their movements as silent as ghosts. I lunged forward, the cuffs burning against my wrists. Wait, please let me see her. Just once. For a moment I thought she would refuse. Then, to my astonishment, she hesitated. You have 5 minutes, she said quietly. And if you speak of rebellion, I will end you myself. They brought me to a chamber bathed in soft blue light. It smelled of ozone and something sweeter. Flowers, maybe, though they couldn't exist here. Aurelia lay on a platform of translucent glass, her body wrapped in threads of golden energy that flickered weakly. The glow beneath her skin had dimmed to a faint shimmer, her breath shallow and uneven. I approached slowly, afraid even my presence might hurt her. Aurelia, I whispered. Her eyes fluttered open. For a moment, she looked disoriented. Then recognition bloomed, fragile and luminous. Eliar, she murmured. I knelt beside her, every word catching in my throat. You don't get to leave me like this. A ghost of a smile crossed her lips. You still argue, even now. I'm consistent, I said, my voice breaking. Her fingers twitched, reaching for mine. I caught her hand, the heat from her skin barely there. They're saying I'm killing you, I whispered. That the connection between us is poison. She looked at me, eyes glassy but steady. Maybe it's not poison. Maybe it's the first thing that's real. I swallowed hard. Your mother wants to break the link. She would, Aurelia said softly. She's terrified of what she doesn't understand. She says it'll kill me. Her hand tightened weakly around mine. Then she's not wrong. I laughed bitterly through the ache. You don't even sound surprised. I'm not, she said. You were never meant to survive my world. You're too bright for it. The silence between us stretched, filled with all the words neither of us could say. I wanted to tell her that I didn't care, that no life was worth living without her, but the truth caught in my chest like a blade. Instead, I whispered, then let's rewrite the rules. Her lips parted, trembling. What do you mean? If the bond kills me when it's severed, I said, then we don't sever it. We change it. Her brow furrowed weakly. You can't change what was written by the stars. I leaned closer, my forehead resting gently against hers. Then we make new stars. Her eyes glistened. You're impossible, she breathed. Maybe, I said, but so are you. The chamber door hissed open, and the Empress entered. She watched us in silence for a moment, her expression carved from grief and steel. Time is up, she said. Aurelia's eyes fluttered open again, fear creeping through the haze. Mother, please. You don't understand what you've done, the Empress said, her voice trembling beneath its composure. Your power anchors the Empire. If you die, the lattice that holds our systems will collapse. Your bond with him is tearing it apart. Then let it fall, Aurelia whispered. The Empress flinched. You would destroy everything we've built? It was never alive, she said. You just made it stand still. The Empress's eyes glistened, but her voice hardened. I cannot lose both you and my empire. She turned to me. Commander Thane, this is mercy. You die so she may live, and so our worlds do not burn. I rose to my feet, every nerve screaming against what I knew I was about to say. If I die, it won't save her. It'll just prove you were right to fear her. She's my daughter, the Empress said sharply. And you are nothing. Then why are you trembling? I asked. For a heartbeat, her mask cracked. The room dimmed as the energy flux in her aura faltered. She turned away, her voice barely audible. Because I see myself in her, and I can't forgive it. Aurelia's hand found mine again, her grip weak but certain. Eliar, she whispered, if this is the end. It's not, I said. I swear to you it's not. The Empress gestured to her guards. Restrain him. They moved forward, but before they could reach me, the light in the chamber flared. The golden veins running along the walls pulsed violently, then shattered into streams of pure energy that coiled around Aurelia like ribbons of fire. The connection between us burned brighter, visible now as a bridge of living light stretching between our chests. No, the Empress whispered. This isn't possible. Aurelia's voice rose through the light, clear and resonant, filled with a power that shook the chamber. You taught me to rule through fear, Mother. He taught me to live through love. If this world cannot hold both. She turned to me, her gaze fierce and unyielding. Then we make one that can. The light consumed everything. The guards vanished. The chamber's walls peeled away, dissolving into a sea of radiance. I could feel her heartbeat sync with mine, faster, stronger, until there was no boundary between them. And then we fell through light, through sound, through everything that once separated human from divine. Falling through light wasn't falling at all. It was becoming. There was no sense of direction, no weight, no sound, only the pulse of two hearts echoing in the fabric of a collapsing universe. I didn't feel my body anymore. I was the light, spiraling through the lattice of energy that once anchored Varyn Prime. I could feel Aurelia beside me or within me. It didn't matter anymore. Her essence glowed like a second sun, and every breath I took felt shared. Together we weren't two beings linked by accident. We were a single, unbroken note in the song of creation. For a moment I thought we were dying. The heat, the brightness, the endless weight of what we'd unleashed. It was too vast, too powerful. But then, through the roar of eternity, I heard her voice, soft and certain. No, Eliar, we're not ending. We're changing. And then we stopped falling. When my vision returned, I was standing in a field. The air was thin but gentle, filled with drifting motes of gold that shimmered like dust caught in sunlight. The horizon stretched infinitely, the sky a deep, impossible violet. The stars above weren't static. They pulsed, breathing like living things. I looked down and saw her, Aurelia, kneeling in the grass that glowed faintly beneath her touch. Her skin was brighter than before, her patterns of light rearranged into new constellations that moved as she breathed. You brought us here, I said quietly. She looked up, her eyes reflecting the sky. We did. The bond changed when we fell through the lattice. We're between worlds now. Between. She nodded. Not Varyn, not Earth. Something the bond created. A world made of what we refused to surrender. I turned slowly, taking in the vast, unmarked expanse. The air carried no sound of machines, no hum of empire. Only the wind, low and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. It's beautiful, I said. Aurelia stood and stepped closer, her fingers brushing mine. It's fragile, like all new things. The warmth of her hand was real, solid, grounding. What happens now? Her expression softened. We live. It was such a simple answer, and yet it struck me like revelation. For so long, both our worlds had been obsessed with survival, not life, with existing, not feeling. But here, under these breathing stars, there were no rules left to obey, no gods to appease. Just her and me and the impossible proof that something greater than both had chosen to exist between us. But peace never lasted. The light around us flickered, dimming for a moment. Aurelia's expression tightened. They're trying to reach us, she said. Your people. My mother, she whispered. She's tearing at the rift, trying to pull us back. I turned toward the horizon. A fracture had appeared there, a vertical scar of gold splitting the sky. Through it, I could see flashes of Varyn. The city collapsing, towers flickering in and out of existence as the Empire's lattice buckled. If she breaks through, this place, our bond, it won't survive, Aurelia said. Then we stop her. She's stronger than both of us. Aurelia said, her voice trembling. You can't fight her. Maybe not, I said, stepping closer. But you said it yourself, she rules through fear. And fear doesn't survive love. Her eyes widened, realization dawning like sunrise. You'd risk everything again. I smiled faintly. Didn't we already? The fracture widened, spilling blinding light across the field. The shape of the Empress began to form within it. Her body wreathed in power, her voice shaking the air. Aurelia! Stop this madness! Aurelia's grip on my hand tightened. Mother! You've doomed us all! The Empress cried. Return now and I will spare him. I stepped forward. You can't undo this, I said. You built your empire on stillness. But life moves. It changes. You can't stop that anymore. Her gaze fell on me, cold and infinite. You're a mortal who thinks he understands eternity. No, I said. I'm a mortal who reminded your daughter what eternity was missing. The Empress's aura flared, her power spilling through the crack like fire. The ground shook, and Aurelia gasped as the energy lashed across her body. I moved without thinking, pulling her close, shielding her with my body. The pain burned like liquid sun, but I didn't let go. Eliar, she whispered, you'll die. Then I'll die proving love isn't weakness. The light around us intensified until the air itself screamed. I could feel her trembling, could feel her heart pounding through me, sinking with mine once more. Then, through the chaos, she lifted her hand, placing it over my chest. Her voice rose not in command, but in prayer. Then let our love be the empire, she said. Let it become the law. Her power exploded outward, consuming us both in radiance. I felt our hearts merge, the bond solidifying into something unbreakable. The fracture in the sky shattered, not closing, but expanding, until its light washed across the entire horizon. When the brilliance finally faded, I found myself standing in the ruins of the Empress's throne room. The gold was gone. The light had dimmed to soft amber. Aurelia stood beside me, her eyes wide with awe. Her mother knelt before us, her armor cracked, her crown broken. You changed it, the Empress whispered. You rewrote the lattice. Aurelia reached forward, touching her mother's shoulder. We did, she said. You built your empire to last forever. We made one that can live. The Empress looked up at her daughter, then at me. For the first time, I saw no anger, only the tired wonder of someone who had finally been proven wrong in the gentlest way. Then go, she said quietly. Build it well. Aurelia's hand slipped into mine. The throne room began to dissolve into light, the old empire unraveling around us. As the walls fell away, we stepped into the dawn of a world reborn. Half Varyn, half Earth, all possibility. The sky above shimmered with twin suns that bled into blue, and I felt her heartbeat again, strong and certain. Do you see it? She asked softly. I nodded. A beginning. She smiled. You were right, you know? About what? Light never knows how bright it is, she said, until darkness challenges it. I looked at her, the woman who had once been a symbol of unreachable perfection, now more human than any queen could ever be. Then I guess we'll keep challenging it. She leaned closer, her forehead resting against mine. Until the stars forget our names. And as the new world bloomed beneath us, I understood that for all her power, and all my mortality, we had both learned the same truth. Love wasn't meant to conquer. It was meant to create.